In this video, I'm going to show you the newest release for Warcry, Sundered Fate. The newest quarterly release box for Warcry, Sundered Fate, goes on sale, I believe, tomorrow as of this video's publication. Saturday. Yeah, that sounds about right. At least here in the US. It is the second box that has been released for the new season, which is based in Gur. So the first box was the Heart of Gur, and now we've got Sundered Fate. The first box was a summer box, and I'll explain it a little bit better anyway. But in this box, you get two forces. You get the Jade Obelisk, or is it Obelisk? Anyway, they are kind of human, maybe humanoid, hard to tell. They're all wearing masks as per usual. But anyway, they're human-looking kind of fighters. And they might have a bit of an Asian kind of vibe as far as maybe their outfits and stuff like that. And they're really into jade, which kind of ties into maybe some of that stuff as well, even though this isn't Earth and it's a whole thing. But they've got some kind of cool looking, I like the sculpts and the big rock parts. I think those are going to be interesting to paint. On the other side, you have the Hunters of Huanchi. Or is it Huanchi? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that either, but they're lizard people, which is awesome. They're fun, like little skinks, a lot of blow darts and all that kind of stuff like that. And there's like 2 or 3 kind of pterodactyl looking things called terrawings. Those are going to be fun to work on as well. I painted 3 of the skinks. I painted the hornblower guy, the alpha, who's kind of the boss, and then one of the other ones as well. And I don't know. They were smaller than I kind of thought. Like, I've been painting things that have been bigger lately. I guess let's just say that. But they were smaller, and so, I don't know. It seemed like it was a little bit harder to get at some detail, but they were still fun to work at, and I enjoyed kind of messing with them. I'm going to paint up the rest of them as well. The way I kind of started these guys is I started out with a simple kind of dark... It's actually called Dark Camo Green Primer from Monument Hobbies. I sprayed that through my airbrush, and then I used Gremlin Green, which is a base color, and Bogey Green, which is a highlight color from the Army Painter Air Paints line. Did kind of a, zenithal sort of prime, and then went through and did all the rest of the painting with contrasts and some opaques and some washes and my normal kind of jam. So yeah, they were a lot of fun to work with. I really dug them. I got to be honest, it's really interesting. This is probably, I'm pretty sure this is probably the first time that I've actually wanted to build and paint and field both forces in a Warcry release box. There have been boxes before. I'm like, I like these guys, but I got no interest in those guys. And I'm like, oh, these guys, but this is the first time where I'm looking at both forces and I'm like, yeah, I do want to work on both of them. So I'm going to go forward and do that in the future. But first, let's take a look in the box. All right, so right off the bat, this is not a start of the new season kind of box like Heart of Gur was. That book had the rules book included, and this one here, Sundered Fate, does not. So you're going to need that. Now, this is cheaper too. I believe Heart of Gur was $210 or $230. I don't remember now off the top of my head. And it's not on the website anymore right now, at least in the US, so I'll mention that a little bit more anyway. This one is $185. So inside, we have stuff that I've already actually gone through. Here is the sprue for the lizard folks. You can see there's some stuff missing because, like I said, I've already worked on 3 of them. You can see the wings of the big pterodactyl-y dudes. I don't know, looking forward to them. There's also, like I said, the other force, which are the Jade Obelisk. They are also on, depending on how you look at it, 1 or 2 sprues. When they come out in a box, these sprues will be snapped in half, and then it'll be it'll be 2 sprues. But in this situation, it's technically just the 1 sprue, so that's kind of cool. This one's even got a fancy base. I don't know if you can see that. That's kind of cool. I hadn't noticed that. Anyway, so, and then the rest of the sprues in this box are all terrain. Now, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look really close. I know a lot of this is new, but I think that there's at least a couple of sprues that are the same sprues that were in the previous box, that were in Heart of Gur. So, yeah, so this is definitely new. It's kind of weird. There's a bunch of bones and stuff in there. There's like a slide, or I don't know exactly what's going on there. I really am spoiled in that I love the terrain that came out in the original Warcry box, and that's all I ever use. I have not yet painted up any of these meat trees or any of this other stuff. I mean, like, all of this kind of bamboo-y stuff is sort of cool. I dig it, you know, but I just, at this point, I honestly have another set of the original stuff that I want to build and paint, and I think that this stuff is probably going to get it left by the wayside. I don't know. I could be wrong. This might be all completely new now that I look at it again. Again, there's more meat trees, but there's also a lot more bamboo. Again, I didn't look really close. It might be all brand new, but it might not. In the new set that they came out with for Kill Team, that set had some new stuff and some not new stuff, and so I'm not sure, but you know, it either is or it isn't. But nonetheless, a bunch of new terrain. So we've got that. We've also got the book. There's also a deck of cards in here, which has got some new stuff to it. New, obviously, setups for the terrain, you know, and the new victory conditions. There's a board that's double-sided, and there's some, you know, there's a card here for the different forces and all that kind of stuff. And then there's instruction booklet, and there's also Stealth and Stone, which has the book that's got all kinds of new, you know, scenarios in it, and campaign stuff, and fluff, and all that jazz. That's all in here. Also, the stats for the two forces that are here in there, in the box. So the real question becomes, who is this box for? Well, obviously, this box is for people who want these forces, the lizard folks and the jade folks. But, of course, these boxes, like, those forces will probably get released separately later on, in another 2 or 3 months or so. That's what's been happening with the previous box and boxes since. Every time they come out with a box that's got 2 forces in it, eventually you can buy those forces separately. So if you need them now, that's who this box is for. It's also for people who potentially already have Warcry and they want new and or maybe more terrain, because maybe they're going to take this terrain, all these meat trees and the bamboo bits and all that kind of stuff, and they're going to use it for not just Warcry, because if you've got a previous Warcry box, you should have enough terrain for Warcry. It's a 22 by 30. It's not a very big thing. But if you also want to then start using it for, I don't know, Age of Sigmar, and then expand out your table that way, or any other game. I mean, honestly, meat trees and this kind of stuff could be used in all kinds of different games. It doesn't even have to be necessarily fantasy. You could easily run Space Marines on this jungle planet. Boom, done. You know, I mean, so if you want more terrain and you like this style, then that makes a lot of sense too. Although probably this terrain will also come out separately in boxes a little bit down the road. It could also be for people who are looking for the book, for Stealth and Stone, because again, like I said, you know, new campaign stuff, new, you know, like all the new, you know, missions and scenarios are the words that I'm looking for. But again, just like with the Rotmeyer Creed and that book it just came out, the book will probably come out separately as well pretty soon. So then the question is, I guess, is it for people who want to get into Warcry? Is this the box for getting started? Technically, no. Like, as I mentioned at the beginning, this box doesn't come with the core rulebook. So you're going to need to buy the core rulebook if you don't already have it. That's $50. So this box, and let me reiterate this, does not come with the core rulebook so that you can play the game. You're going to need to pick that up separately. It's $50. This box also doesn't have any dice. Now, you need 6-sided dice. It's not a big deal. They're not custom fancy dice. You probably have 6-sided dice, so that's not really that big of a deal. Now, admittedly, they do sell fancy, I wanted to look to see, they do sell fancy Warcry themed 6-siders. You get 18 dice for $40. I had to do the math twice in my head. That's more than $2 per normal D6. They are normal D6s that come in like 3 different colors, and the 6 is a custom symbol. Otherwise, they're completely normal dice. I have had dice produced before in the past. I know how much they cost, and getting $2 plus per die is crazy. So use your own dice if you're trying to get into Warcry. Don't go, oh, I got to go buy Warcry dice so I can play Warcry. That's not true. The other thing about this box is it doesn't have any tokens, which are, frankly, whereas dice you can use whatever you want, the tokens in this game are kind of useful for Warcry, right? So they're nice to haves, but they're really nice to have. So, objective markers, you can use whatever. That's fine. But if you want to get into, like, there's the keeping track of hit points. That, again, you can probably do that with a small die, or you can do different things. But the little blood drop things, the way that they're designed, so there's a 1 and a 3 and a 5 and a 10, they flip over, they do the math nicely. It's actually pretty useful. it's the activation dice, or not dice, but tokens that are actually really useful. Some of them have the little clock on the side, the little, whatever, countdown clock thing. And that means that you're holding or whatever. And on the other side, they have the X. But now because of the new stuff with the reactions and all that, where you can still do a reaction even if it's not your turn, but you still burn one of your 2 reactions in your turn coming up, you need to be able to mark that that's the case. And so the nice little tokens that come in the new set, they have some that are like the little red X and some that are just the 1 slice. And you're going to have to figure that out because there's currently not a set out there that sells, any kind of tokens that you're going to be able to use for that if you didn't already buy Heart of Gur. And that's as of this filming on the US website. I looked just before filming this, and there's no kit you can just buy that gives you the stuff that you're going to need, like those tokens. Now, there's a terrain set that's still available on the US site called Ravaged Lands Varanite Siphon Camp, which I believe it's got tokens in it, but it's from Red Harvest. It's like the terrain set and also some tokens from Red Harvest. And Red Harvest is the previous version, version 1 of Warcry and not 2, so there were no reactions back then. So the tokens it comes with are only the red X ones and not the ones with the slash, so there's no single activation markers. You're going to have to kind of figure that out. Also, Heart of Gur box, like I said, is not currently available on the USGW website right now either, so you might still be able to find it in stores. Definitely check your local independent stores. There's probably plenty of those that are still sitting on a box or 2 there, so you could start from there. But since it's not on the website anymore, I kind of assume that it's out of production. So this box isn't really for people just getting into the game unless they want to spend $185 and then $50 more for the core book and then figure out dice, which is obviously not hard, and then tokens, which is not exactly easy. So if folks want to get into Warcry, they should probably pick up the Heart of Gur box, which, like I just said, now seems to be out of production. This box seems to be for people who either don't want to wait for some of the stuff in this box to come out separately, which is kind of a FOMO play on GW's part, but they've been leaning into that over the last several years. Or it's for people that just actually want all of the stuff that is in this box. They want, the 2 forces, and they also want the terrain, and they want the stealth and stone book. Then, yeah, it's all in one package. You can get it right now, and that's pretty useful. But however, if that's not you, but you do want some of the stuff. Like, let's say you just want the Jade Obelisk folks and you want the terrain, you'll be waiting, but you could probably get away a little bit cheaper by waiting a little while. Honestly, I don't like these boxes after the first box that comes out for the season. So Heart of Gur made sense. It is a starter. It comes with dice. It comes with a core book. It comes with all the tokens. It comes with everything you need. And now you can play the game. I like that. But these boxes, where it is just a bunch of stuff, some of it you may want, some of it you may not, totally depends on you, but it is not a playable out-of-the-box game, really, without having some of those other things, like the tokens, which, again, you can do whatever tokens you want, but the rule book is a big deal. The rule book's not free, it's $50, and it's not in this box. I wish that they were handling Warcry in a different way as far as this, as far as this is considered. I wish that they would keep Heart of Gur in production as like a good starter that you can buy, and then that'll run maybe for a full year or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if this whole year is the season of Heart of Gur and then a new season will start next summer, Heart of Gur should be available for this entire year, as opposed to being available for 3 or 4 months tops. And then hopefully you can find it in stores, but then after that you've got these other boxes that are coming out that you can't play just right out of the box to start because you don't have the rest of the stuff, right? So, I don't know. If they would keep it in production, I think that would be a really good idea. And then the new forces that they want to put out, the Lizard folks here and the Jade Obelisk folks, they could put those things out in separate boxes. Not a big box like this for $185, but like they do 3 months from now when they come out with this box and that box, and here's a terrain thing and here's a book. Put those things out separately for people who are interested in that kind of stuff, people who want to buy more terrain for their table. Great, knock yourself out, here you go. But they don't care about these 2 forces, you don't have to buy them. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense. Again, waiting will do the same thing for you, but there are a lot of people that will buy this box because they're like, well, gosh, I need that stuff. Even though I only want that one thing or this one thing or whatever, they'll still pull the trigger. So I just wish that they would kind of skip these secondary quarterly release boxes. I'm just not sure who they're for. Let me know what you think about this Sundered Fate box and how Warcry 2.0 is being handled down below in the comments. Let me know what you think about GW and their whole season thing altogether, not just for Warcry, but also, you know, Kill Team as well, and even you're starting to see it in the big games like AOS and 40K. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up down below. It's quick and easy and free, and it actually helps. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, and thanks for watching.